morning, everyone. It is actually Wednesday, January 27th, 2016. I'm recording this a few days early because on tomorrow, on Thursday, there's a new patch being released, which means all of the replays that I have will no longer be viewable. After that, the season resets on Monday, so we're kind of in a transitional time. Anyway, this is Gersh's Gaming Diamond or Ragequit, and today we're going to be looking at PvP, primarily, exclusively, and sort of looking at several games and sort of I'm experimenting through these games, which is one of the things you're supposed to be doing, is experimenting with different builds, different concepts, different ideas. And the experimenting I'm doing is because I'm finding that the PvP strategy that I'm pursuing, which is stalkers supported by disruptors, stalkers that have blink supported by disruptors, is not very effective, at least at the level that I'm playing at and the level that I'm capable of playing at. By that, I mean two different things. I mean, it's either not effective at silver, gold ranks, or that I'm not executing it very well. So, whoops. So I want to start, actually, with a GG tracker, by looking at a GG tracker from, I think this was on Saturday. Yep, here we are. So, I've talked several times before about how, generally speaking, the high food army beats the low food army. And what we see here is 1, 2, 3 battles in which the high food army got pretty well crushed. So here, my army was, if I can leave it there, 30 stalkers, 3 disruptors. I lose the fight against 5 stalkers, 7 zealots, 5 immortals, and a mothership core. I was attacking base here. Little later on, my follow-up attack, 50 stalkers, 4 disruptors, against 8 stalkers, 7 immortals, 2 disruptors, 17 zealots. My army outclassed in both mineral value, gas value, total quantity, total food. By any rights, should have won this fight. Lost it. And lost it pretty rapidly. I mean, you see a pretty big shift there. Down. I don't want to actually go into this game. I think the key point here is immortals are a unit that is very, very effective at countering stalkers and disruptors at the same time. That makes it difficult. I mean, obviously I need some sort of change in the strategy if I'm going up against a lot of immortals. Now, the appropriate counter on the ground to immortals and to stalkers is charge zealots. But there's a couple of problems with this. First is that the good late-game counter to charge zealots is actually by using colossi, which the opponent obviously has the capability to produce at this point because they're making disruptors. The second and the bigger problem is that disruptors and zealots don't play well on the same team. And that's because the Purification Nova ability that the disruptor uses to actually deal damage also deals friendly fire. And you're trying to get that Purification Nova in the middle, or at least on the edge, of your enemy force so that when it blows up, it does a lot of damage. Well, what's also on the edge of the enemy force is your zealots. And the Purification Nova will destroy zealots, stalkers, sentries, other disruptors, all in one shot. Dark Templar, High Templar, Adepts as well. Immortals take 2 because of their hardened shield activates. At least that's what I'm finding. I'm sort of see conflicting things online about whether disruptors will kill immortals in one shot or not. I'm not entirely sure. I'm still trying to figure that out. But the bottom line is, so if I transition to a heavy zealot build, what do I support that with? Well, I support it with maybe Colossi of my own, but that's an expensive kind of tech switch, and it's still very vulnerable to immortals. So, all of these thoughts were sort of going through my head when I played this game the next day. Now I'm going to keep it on the Gersh cam for a little bit, and let's kind of see what happens. Is sort of how I open with everything right now, where I go Gate Gas Expand, Core Gas Robo. So there's the core, researching Warp Gate. I know I'm going very fast through this game. So then, what I do against Protoss is I build, let me get it off camera mode, I build Twilight Council and Robo Bay, and then start getting multiple gateways. And, again, the idea is a Stalker Disruptor army. That's kind of what I'm going for. So there goes the Robo Bay, so I can make... Now, on this, I tried something a little bit different. I made a Warp Prism and tried to do an Adept drop. Let's see... Let's just follow the Adept drop and see what happens here.
Research complete.
So I come in... I'm here. And I saw this guy waltzed in with a Void Ray. And I thought, oh, he's going air. Now, there's a couple of responses to this. The easiest transition for me right now would be to kind of double down on my current strategy, go heavy on the Stalkers and the Blink Stalkers, and try and out-macro him in the air. If we take a look at his base, you can see he just expanded to his natural, it looks like, pretty recently. Only had 6-7 probes there, plus the 1 or 2 I killed. So, I mean, this isn't the highest skill player. He's a little... that Warp Prism, by the way. And counter the Void Rays with Phoenixes, basically going air. And that's what I decided to do. So, I drop a Stargate. Bunch more gateways. I put some Photon Cannons down. Had Blink, probably should have chased him off at that point. Yeah, a little late on that, but it is what it is. So now I'm chrono boosting out Phoenixes. Go back to the ×4.
Teleport successful.
And when I get a handful of Phoenixes, I also still have my Robo Bay, so I pull out a couple of Mortals. And I decide to, you know, go down. I send the Phoenixes as a scout, see where he has and has not expanded. I see he's got an expansion here. I'm able to kill off the probes and evade his Void Ray counterattack, right? Kind of an interesting choice. So right now, I have him well outclassed on army value, right? It's not really that big of a surprise. His Void Rays are doing their prismatic alignment, but my Phoenixes make short work of them, and then I basically trash his army, right? And GG. Well, that's nice, right? Don't get me wrong. But it made me think, maybe there's some value to experimenting around with air plays as Protoss. So I did a series of games against a friend of mine, which I'm going to breeze through like 4 or 5 games on this match, showing different things I'm thinking of and sort of how effective they are. So this is a game we played. Again, I'm doing my standard intro. I'm going to take the camera off so we don't all get seasick here. But now I'm thinking, okay, let's make that airplay and let's make it early. So, still gate gas, expand, core gas, robo, and then instead of building the Twilight Council and then the robo bay,